much like the potential upgrade path from the Pixel 4 to the Pixel 5, suggesting that someone should upgrade from the 3A to the 4A is a bit silly. Despite maybe being a little overdue, we're here to examine whether this might be something to consider for those shopping for a new smartphone on a budget. Thanks for watching 9to5 Google here on YouTube. Remember to thumbs up, hit subscribe, and then tap the bell icon to be among the first to watch our upcoming videos. At the bottom end of the smartphone spectrum, the lower you go, the more features you do tend to lose. Something even more pronounced in the US market, where solid, affordable smartphones are harder to come by without many of the big Chinese brands to contend with. With the Pixel 4a coming much later in the year than expected, the actual time between its release and that of the Pixel 3a makes things a little more complicated. The Pixel 3a released at I/O in May of 2019, and it wasn't until August 2020 that its successor was quietly unveiled with little to no fanfare. While we don't suggest upgrading after such a short space of time due to increased e-waste, a lot can change in 15 months or so. You might be looking at the $350 Pixel and wondering if it's a solid follow-on for a slightly battered and bruised Pixel 3a. Let's go over the specifics and help you decide, and in the interest of fairness, the Pixel 4a 5G might technically be part of the Pixel 4a series, but it straddles the fence with both the Pixel 4a and the Pixel 5. We'll likely compare them directly at a later date. Comparing the 3a series to the 4a series might from the outset be an unfair comparison from a hardware perspective, as the lack of a Pixel 4a XL means that for fans of large, affordable Pixel devices, you'll have to bump up your budget and grab the Pixel 4a 5G instead. At $499, the Pixel 4a 5G fits in a slightly different niche, and with a faster chipset means it's not quite in the same league, so it's out of our direct comparison here, as it's an obvious winner in almost every regard. In summary though, the Pixel 3a and 4a don't differ quite as much as you might have thought, but the upgrades have been made in just the right areas. Upping the RAM from 4 to 6GB will really help with longevity, while the faster storage is a real bonus for performance levels. Also, increasing the available storage from 64 to 128GB is something that will likely make a lot more difference than you might have thought from the outset. The Qualcomm Snapdragon 730G provides a 40% bump in performance over the Snapdragon 670 found in the 3A. We can't imagine it will be immediately noticeable. For us, it's the improved UFS 2.1 storage and increased RAM that will make the most difference, but it might not necessarily be immediately noticeable in general day-to-day apps and basic texting, calling, browsing and whatnot. Gaming is an area where the Pixel 4 should provide a decent bump over the 3A and 3A XL though. You can see that the Pixel 4a leaves behind the design language first introduced with the Pixel 2, and continues with that of the 3 and 3a. The polycarbonate unibody has a fully matte finish, which should age much better than the glossy two-tone Pixel 3a. You'll also notice that the 3a camera bump is now larger and has taken some design cues from the Pixel 4, albeit without the extra lens. It's the display where the most prominent changes are apparent, as the Pixel 3a and 3a XL include substantial bezels on all sides. The forehead and chin aren't totally eradicated on the 4a, but the upper left punch-hole notch and reduced bezels on all sides do mean you get a larger display in a slightly smaller form factor. There's also a bump from the Dragon Trail glass used on the Pixel 3a to Gorilla Glass 3 on the Pixel 4a. However, the Full HD Plus resolution returns, as does the 60Hz refresh rate. It's a series of modest hardware improvements, but only if you're able to give up the larger form factor option. Thanks to the Android 11 update, the Pixel 3a and 4a daily experience is typically Pixel. There are a few software tweaks that are exclusive to the newer device though. As with almost all Pixel devices, you might get some extra features drip-fed down with upcoming Pixel feature drops though. While there are some new additions, there are some disappointing removals here though. The Pixel 3a series still includes the ability to squeeze the size of your device to activate the Google Assistant. However, the Pixel 4a comes with the new, more compact new Google Assistant that includes better controls, with all processing taking place on device. The Pixel 4a will be updated at least as far as Android 13, but it's unclear if it will get updated to Android 14 due to the later than expected release cycle. As for the Pixel 3a, it has received 2 full OS upgrades. That means it will get updated as far as Android 12, then its security patches beyond that. Performance is very similar between each device, but the extra RAM and marginally better chipset do heavily favour the Pixel 4a in terms of longevity. Gaming is one area where the newer, gaming-focused Snapdragon 730G may provide a few extra frames in 3D titles in conjunction with the faster UFS storage. Having more RAM means that holding apps in stasis is also slightly better on the Pixel 4a over the 3a. It's also worth noting that with an extra 64GB of storage, you can hold a lot more content on your 4A. Of course, daily longevity has never really been an area where the Pixel A series has suffered so far in its short lifespan. The Pixel 3a XL specifically has the longest lasting daily lifespan of just about any Pixel to date, thanks to the 3700 mAh battery and lower power chipset. With no Pixel 4a XL model this year, you'll need to contend with comparable battery life to that of the smaller 3a, with a 3000 mAh battery versus 3140 mAh cell in the newer A series device. Neither series comes with wireless charging, but does include 18W fast charging as standard. The Pixel 3a with its smaller battery therefore charges the fastest of the three models, while the Pixel 4a is not too far behind. Super fast charging speeds aren't a fixture of the A series, that is for sure. The Pixel 3a and Pixel 4a camera systems are practically identical, save some minor visual changes. We all know by now that the Pixel camera magic isn't provided by the 3-year-old Sony IMX363 sensor, it's all in the software processing. One big notable exclusion on the new device though is that of the Playground AR features from the Pixel 3a. You won't be able to port Iron Man or interactive 3D characters into your photos and videos on the 4a, instead you'll have to make do with the also awesome 3D animals in Google search instead. The end results are practically identical with the rear and front facing cameras on the Pixel 3a and 4a, although the Pixel 4a does have access to the astrophotography mode that came to the Pixel 4 series in late 2019. Plus it has some other improvements here and there which make very marginal differences, especially with regard to processing speed. In summary, moving from the Pixel 3a to the 4a is a much easier decision than those looking to switch from the Pixel 4 to the Pixel 5. Unlike the flagship lines, the difference between the A series in 2019 and 2020 is a reasonable step forward rather than a modest step backwards. You'll likely see some performance boosts in most areas, which will be especially useful long term. However, the late release cycle means that if Google adheres to the mid-2021 refresh for the Pixel 5a, holding out a little bit longer might be a wise decision. That said, at $349, the Pixel 4a does just about everything you expect of a made by Google device, but without the associated price tag. In isolation, it's probably the best value Pixel smartphone to date. While the Pixel 3a did lead the way, it's still technically a first generation device, and with that comes more compromises. The removal of bezels, increased storage and mini Pixel 5 feel are great considering you're getting more than half of the late 2020 flagship for less than half of the price. So with that in mind, are you looking to upgrade from the Pixel 3a to the Pixel 4a, or are you upgrading from a different device to the Pixel 4a entirely? If you have any questions, of course, be sure to put them down in the comment section below. Until next time, this is Damien with 9to5Google saying thanks for watching, and I will speak to you later.